Hi everyone, I just wanted to do a quick video for you, just to remind you that you need to be balancing your side seams. We did look at this a few weeks ago, but obviously my concern is that you might have forgotten this, and it is obviously a really important aspect of your pattern making, and it just means your pattern pieces are going to be more accurate when it comes to cutting and sewing. So when I say balancing side seams, what I mean is this length of this side seam, so this is my front piece, this is going to be the same length as my back side seam. Okay, so there's two ways we can do this. The first way is basically using darts, so balancing the intake of the darts from the front and keeping it the same in the back. We can also use the trace off method. I'm sure some of you can remember this one, where we basically trace out the front piece and then you overlap it onto the back, and you're reducing some of the length from the back piece and adding it to the front piece. But let's just start off with the dart technique. Sort of don't worry too much about what's going on here with my pattern piece. Like I said, I just kind of wanted to put this video together for you quickly. But basically, so this is the dart that I've slashed. I've closed it, and this is just where it's naturally kind of laid flat. Okay, so remember, you don't want to distort your pattern. It should just be laying down nice and flat. And the amount that this is opened up by is 2 inches. Okay, so then obviously I've taken half of that and I've added it to my side seam, so that's 1 inch and then 2 inches. And this is my front piece. Okay, so now if I go to my back piece right over here, so I just want to show you this right here. So again, side seam, so the dart closest to my side seam, I've drawn a slash line, I've cut up to my dart point. So if I was just going to close this, bringing the 2 dart legs together like so, okay, you can, and obviously this is quite hard for me to show you with one hand, but and if I just let that sit flat, this opening isn't as wide as what it was for my front piece. Okay, I think this is only about 1 inch and a quarter. Let me just double check. Yeah, 1 inch and 1/4. And remember, for my front piece, it was 2 inches. So in order for me to open this out to the same amount, 2 inches, what I have to do is basically go past the original dart leg. So I just have to keep bringing it over to the point where this opening then reaches 2 inches, if that makes sense. And I've already done this. I've already kind of made a little mark, and this was basically the point here. This is how far I had to bring it out to, and then this opening is now 2 inches. Okay, so that's what you'll need to do. You'll need to keep pushing the dart leg past the original dart leg until you get the same length in opening as your front piece. Okay, so what I would do now is grab a piece of tape and then position that, and obviously this would then be sitting flat. So I've obviously now made this dart much bigger. I've taken a lot more paper, or for example fabric. When it's an actual dart, it's going to be a much bigger dart. So all we have to do now, we always want to keep the intake of the darts the same. If we now just left this, the size of the waist would be reduced. Okay, so we have to balance the darts out now as well. So all that means is, however much I had to take extra of this dart, however much further I brought it past it, I just then reduce the size of this dart, and this is going to balance them out. So, sorry, I know that it's a bit tricky to show you with one hand. Here we go. Okay, so this was 1/4 inch. So all I've done is divided that by 2, so it's 1/8. So I've brought in my dart leg 1/8 this side, and I've brought in my dart leg 1/8 this side, okay? And I've put a cross on these lines because those are now my old dart legs, and these are my new dart legs. So this dart leg is skinnier now, if that makes sense, because I don't need as much in this dart because I've taken more out of this one, okay? And just to kind of show you, oh no, let's close it up again. Okay, so put it here. Okay. So this was now 2 inches. So half of 2 inches. Again, I put an inch on this side, taking it up to my hip point. So now that I've done that, the result is that this side here, this side seam, is going to be the same length as my front side seam. This side seam. Okay, I have measured them. I used a tape measure. This is going to be hard for me to do one-handed, so I'm not going to do the whole thing, but just to show you what I did. So I started right at the bottom, and I brought my tape measure all the way up. I put myself a little dart in the side. Obviously I didn't count that dart because that's going to be closed, but the length that I got here was 11 inches and 1/4. And then I did the same on this side. I measured from this point, from the top of the waist, all the way down my new side seam to the hem, and this was also 11 inches and 1/4. So it's just a reminder there, is you just want to make sure that you're balancing your side seams so that they're going to match at the sides. Just going to quickly recap the other way you could do it. So what I'll do is take this out. So let's say, for example, that I don't adjust my dart. I just close this at its original dart leg, and I let that just sit naturally where it's meant to. So obviously now it's going to be a little bit smaller than 2 inches. I would take a piece of tracing paper. I would trace around my front piece. You can see that I just did that. Okay, all around the new outline. And then you layer this over the top. Okay, you have to match it up at your centre front. And then if you can remember, so what we'd have to do here is basically measure this difference. This line should be meeting this line. Okay, so you'd measure the difference and you'd half it. So half of it you would bring back, so you'd bring this line back, and then the other half you would add up here, and then that would make your two side seams match. Okay, and that is in the textbook as well. My battery's gone, there we go. That's page 242 as well, so maybe just have a read through that as well to remind you. And this method, the first method I did with the difference in the darts, that's also in the textbook on the A-line skirt foundation. Okay, good luck.